Can you believe it? We're in the presence of probably one half of. I'm going to be honest though, John. This is probably one of my favorite tag teams. You know, one half of them. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Well, I've said this to you. Definitely one of my favorite tag teams, and will go down as in history as one of the greatest tag teams. I mean, they both did so much together.
Yeah, like I said, I think we said before we came on the air. Was it like 11 years?
Yeah, yeah, just about 11 years. Yeah, maybe closer to 12 even. Yeah,
crazy, man.
Yeah,
Crazy.
it's a long time.
Ortiz, how do you, man? How's the week been for yourself?
Great so far. I just ran my first half marathon, so I'm riding off the high of that. That was a big accomplishment from not being a runner. So I just been kind of riding that high this whole week and just been focusing on training. And outside of that, real life is good. Family's healthy. No complaints on my end.
Awesome. And I ask a lot of people this. I mean, how do you juggle so many different things? Do you get the time to yourself?
When I'm training, that's the time to myself. That's kind of where, because I don't have any training partners where I live, unless I'm on the road, then I'll work out with other wrestlers. But that's kind of my me time. It's my therapy. Running has been very therapeutic. On top of it, just being challenging and then transferring over to what I do in the ring. It's just better cardio. I can be a better performer.
Absolutely. Jordan, let's kick this show off on the road, man.
I mean, let's pull it all the way back, Ortiz. And where did you first discover wrestling, and how did you get into it?
First discovered wrestling. I knew about wrestling when I was a child. I saw The Undertaker. That was the first image of wrestling that I was ever exposed to. But I didn't really get into wrestling until Attitude Era. When I was a teenager, wrestling was hot. Everybody was into it at that time. But then I found a group of friends that did backyard wrestling. And then we all did backyard wrestling together. And I kind of got the wrestling bug from there. But Attitude Era. And then I had a friend that was a tape trader. And he got me matches. This is obviously before YouTube. I'm aging myself a bit. But he exposed me to matches from Japan. Torimon, Noah, Torimon's early Dragon Gate before they transferred over to Dragon Gate, for those who don't know. Early 90s Michinoku Pro. And then seeing that type of wrestling is what inspired me to want to be a wrestler. So it was really that era of wrestling, the Attitude Era, and going back and watching early 90s stuff from Japan and then going forward. Yeah.
Awesome. That's interesting, man. Over to you, Liam.
You mentioned Undertaker there, and then what's some obviously your favorite Undertaker highlights?
I mean, just for me, what sticks out nostalgia-wise is just him and Paul Bearer, just them being on screen together. Paul Bearer was just such an interesting character, especially with the voice. And then Undertaker as a child is scary as hell. So those always stuck with me. But of course, as when I got older, just him and Mick Foley. That Hell in the Cell match, of course, that'll stand out to one of my top Undertaker and Mankind moments.
So I mean, Jordan, that match is absolutely terrific. Anyway,
yeah, I'm quite surprised that Mankind got up and still walked after that.
Legit, it's insane. I've taken regular bumps in the ring and feel that I can't move afterwards. To imagine falling however far up it was, 30, 40 feet. That's insane.
Absolutely. Jordan, back to you, bro.
I mean, just going on to the Undertaker bit, I saw I think it was his documentary, and then to land that spot right on time, how it did.
Sure.
I mean, because he could have gone in the crowd, with gravity, but he didn't. So to time that perfect, it's remarkable that it was still walking and nothing serious happened.
Legit, yeah. Very little room for error.
100%. So obviously you've been in the business, I could say 18 years.
Close. I'm more at 17. I'm
17.
Either just about 17, or maybe I just made 17. I'm terrible with my my history, but it's 16, 17. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say is some of your highlights of your career?
Oh man. Very early on, before I got with Impact, was wrestling people that I looked up to, especially in the Northeast area, being able to get in matches with Homicide, the Hit Squad, All Money is Legal, is very local New York tag team, and just other teams, just being around that circle and being accepted within that community was probably my biggest achievement up to that point. Just getting in with those people, and then that really made me believe that I can make it as a wrestler, because these are the people that I looked up to and inspired to be like. And and then I would say Impact, we had an insane run. Our whole entire run of Impact was amazing. It's also when we first started traveling, becoming flight guys, because being on the independents as a tag team is very hard. You're paying for, if you're flying, you're paying for two people's flights. You're paying 2 separate booking fees. That's 2 separate travels. We would share hotel rooms to try to reduce the cost, but it's expensive to bring out a tag team, especially internationally. But we were getting enough exposure where companies were bringing us out. And that was a huge achievement at that point. I always said to myself, there's no going back. I'm a flight guy now. I don't have to drive anymore, even though I drive sometimes now. But it was just a huge step from being a broke indie wrestler to now getting flown internationally and doing stuff like that. But Impact was a huge part of that. Our exposure to Impact, we started doing Progress. We did WXW in Germany. We did Fight Club. We did one of their tag leagues. There was a few other companies that the names escape me right now, but just being able to go over to England and Europe and do those things was a huge deal. Plus, I always dreamt of going to Amsterdam, and one random time I had just met Mark Davis from Aussie Open, and we were on the WXW loop, and then we took a random trip to Amsterdam, which was really cool. It was a great first experience. If you never been to Amsterdam, I suggest it. It's awesome.
Definitely, man.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry, I ranted a bit, but those are probably my big achievements. And then AEW run has been amazing too. I've done some of the coolest stuff ever. The stadium stampedes were unreal. The first Blood and Guts, just being in the atmosphere, being in the stadium. The first Wembley show was insane. Wrestling in front of that many people, it just didn't seem real. The crowd looked maybe like ocean waves from being in the center of the stadium. But yeah, I can go on and on. There's so many really cool moments, but those are the ones that stick out to me.
You mentioned obviously obviously your TNA run. You was there for 2 and a bit years, from like 2017 to like mid 2019, and the people that you faced, and I think obviously you're a 4-time TNA tag team champion with Santana, and then obviously the GFW tag title as well at the time. And some of the matches that you've had, I mean, you had that incredible feud with the originals, Homicide and Hernandez of LAX. Then the matches that you had with the Lucha, bro. I mean, like you mentioned, in the short span of your time in TNA, it was, I mean, you've got to agree, William, remarkable. Some of the matches that you had with the Lucha Brothers, you had with the North, you even worked alongside Konnan. Yeah,
which is awesome. That's another
remarkable
moment. Yeah, for sure. I just our run at TNA was unreal, and that's really when we became a really well-grooved tag team. We obviously were good before that, but really just being in the ring with the talents that you named, being in the ring with people that are better than you and that wrestle at a higher level, it always made us perform at a higher level, and we had to step up. We had no choice, and honestly, that's when I do some of my best work, when I don't have a choice. That goes with wrestling and in life. When I'm forced to do something, that's usually when I step up and I bring my A game. But just the Lucha Bros, man, it's compared to wrestling in a video game. It's awesome. It's fun. I can't explain it better than that. Just the dopamine hit we get from the crowd after performing some crazy sequence of maneuvers, and the crowd goes wild. For me, that's a different style of wrestling. I enjoy that style of wrestling, but we've also been in situations where we have to do street fights with the OGs, as you mentioned, and that's a different style of wrestling in itself. Honestly, I enjoy it more because you have the gimmicks. It's easier to do less stuff, and you just focus on the bigger moves in those moments. And those matches, ironically, are easier on the body with some caveats. Sometimes you get jacked up, you go through a table, you go through something wrong. But the Lucha Bro matches definitely, my body took more of a pounding because we're constantly going and doing high impact moves and crazy acrobatics and catching bodies flying through the air. So I feel, just getting the experience from those different aspects of telling a story. Plus, we did really cool vignettes. Some of my favorite and most influential learning moments on my mic skills was sitting down in the clubhouse with Konnan and just watching him just go off the cuff. Konnan's, for me, is almost similar to a freestyle rapper, even though he does rap. But he just has bars, man. He could just go off the top of the head, and he's witty and he has great comebacks. And that's a skill that you need in wrestling. So being under that learning tree and seeing also how he does business was a huge eye-opener. Man, Impact was a huge learning experience, and definitely is what I think where you get that perception that we were a great tag team. I feel we could have been one of the greatest tag teams, but history went the other way. But in that time, I felt untouchable. During our TNA run, my body was destroyed, but I felt untouchable because I really felt I had the confidence at that time that no matter who you put us in the ring with, we're gonna have bring our A game. We're gonna have a great match.
100%. Over to you, Lim.
What were the biggest thing, obviously, Konnan taught you?
Honestly, it was really how to deal with wrestling business behind the scenes type stuff. That's an art in itself. You have to know when to stand up from yourself. You have to know when to bite your tongue. There's a balance there, obviously. Also, realize when people are trying to take advantage of you and nip that in the bud almost immediately. And then also just how to flow and come up, just being around him and having his influence and just seeing who he is as a person. That's going to spill over onto you because you are like the people that you put yourself around. So being under that learning tree is just honestly where I developed better mic skills. And the business aspect was a huge thing, just seeing how to navigate things, because up until that point, we really didn't have any need on the independents other than talking to promoters and trying to work out pay. That it would end right there. Whereas when you're doing television and TV, sometimes you have to learn how to work with the people, but also get what you want in the same respect. And there's a fine balance, and Konnan has that balance.
Okay. John, back to you, bro.
I mean, obviously you did your 2 and a bit years in TNA. Then obviously you and Santana decided to finish up your dates with TNA. Mm-hmm. And then what was it like from you knowing that, right, we're going to leave TNA, the next step of our career? Obviously, there's always going to be, at the time, there was 2 options. There was either WWE or AEW. How did it come down to you, like, going to AEW?
It wasn't easy, to be honest. We weighed the options back and forth, but we officially made the decision. We were finishing up our independent dates. We were champions in Puerto Rico, and we were going over so we can drop the titles and then just finish up our dates, just basically fill in any gaps for anyone that we needed to. And when we were in Puerto Rico, we went back and forth and we really talked about it and we weighed out the options. And AEW, honestly, the biggest thing at that time, it was the schedule, right? We both have young children. AEW had a lighter schedule, and also Santana didn't want to move from New York City and have to move down to Florida. We would have been brought in for NXT. So all those life factors kind of factored in. Plus, it was really exciting that AEW was something new. We honestly, it could be anything at that point. Whereas WWE, we know we're going to have to learn how to work within their system versus in AEW, it was just new and exciting. Plus, we knew we were going to work with Jericho, which is awesome. The wrestling fan in me, the mark in me is, yo, Chris Jericho, that's dope. So there was a little bit of that, and just where we were at in our lives at that moment in time weighed heavily on our decision to pick AEW. And it's almost like when those sitcoms do alternate timeline episodes. What happened if we would have picked NXT? Would we eventually maybe have ended up in AEW? Because there was huge releases that went on between that time that we went to AEW or not. We could have been one of those people. Who knows, right? But yeah, I think the biggest thing is just where we were at in that moment in our lives is why we picked AEW.
Awesome. And I mean, worked out good in the end. Do you know what I mean? Some of the stuff that you've done, learning under Jericho, Jake Hager, Sammy, obviously with Santana, Eddie Kingston. You've been in the ring with Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli. Do you know what I mean? You had that match with Santana on Rampage, which, in my opinion, was some of your best work in the ring and his. Obviously, apart from the tag team, but.
Sure.
And the match that you had with Jericho. You even did a hair versus hair match with Jericho.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure we'll get on to. But Liam, over to you, man.
Yeah, I want to obviously talk about, you had the emotions when obviously you were debuting in AEW.
On the day that we debuted, just how I felt. Nervous, anxious. Honestly, I truly believe maybe because we were hot at that time, right? But to the internet, Impact was such a niche wrestling audience. There was a good amount of people that watched it, but to us, it wasn't WWE. It didn't have the same exposure, right? So we knew we were over to a certain extent, but we didn't know how over we were or how much people actually knew about us and knew about our work, right? There's always that self-doubt there. We were snuck in that day. We were surprised. AEW kind of still does this with certain people where they'll hide people in a random locker room until they have to come out because they just don't want anything leaking or someone backstage say something. So we were surprised. So we were isolated. So all we had were our thoughts and our nervousness leading up to it. And as you know, when you're waiting for something to happen and it's very close, you get anxious. You keep looking at your watch. You're anticipating what's going to happen. So it was a lot of anxiety, just very anxious, and also the fear that no one was going to react. And then I remember because we had the president's mask on, so it was hard to see and breathe. But we were underneath the stage, and I look over to Santana and I said, how about if no one reacts? We just crickets. Just nothing happens. So we kind of laugh and we go out there, we do the thing. And then when we took off our masks, man, that pop was everything to me. One of my top wrestling moments ever, man. I chased that drug consistently. It was just validation that we were the real deal. You know what I mean? It wasn't just in our heads. Yeah.
Absolutely. John, back to you, bro.
I mean, I actually thought, I'll get to that in 2 seconds, but I personally think, obviously, what you've just said, that was one of the loudest, apart from obviously the odd pops now, you know, when it was Kenny and Bryan Danielson, you know, with that Hogan Rock moment, it felt like.
Yeah.
I feel like that pop was one of the loudest for a tag team that I've seen in a long time, apart from the Hardys, do you know what I mean? That came back at WrestleMania. I think that was a really good surprise. And I mean, we mentioned earlier the Lucha Brothers, you attack them, and Young Bucks, two of the greatest tag teams, you know, in AEW, as well as yourself and Santana. So that must have been a surreal moment yourself.
Super surreal. And then obviously we have a relationship with the Lucha Bros. We wrestled them so much, so there's so much respect there with them. And also just genuine friendship. And then the Young Bucks are just super cool dudes. And the men, when it comes to that style of tag team wrestling, and they could do it all, honestly. I've seen them do it all, but they're just top tier. So to be in there with them and to be the third team amongst them was definitely awesome. It was a big moment for sure. You bring it up, and I've said this publicly on Twitter once. I think I said it, but I'll say it here again. It's a shame we never got to wrestle the Lucha Bros in AEW. It's just unreal to me that it just never happened. It was supposed to happen. Things beyond our control kind of took it. But I truly believe in the short time span that I left Impact, also because I changed my fitness level. I changed my mindset on wrestling. I just became a different performer throughout that time. Just knowing what I can implement now, oh man, just magic would happen with the Lucha Bros at this moment. But they're off doing other things, unfortunately. Just that's how life works sometimes.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and I think you'll agree with me, Liam. I'm quite surprised that you and Santana did not win the AEW World Tag Team Championships. I pretty much thought you guys should have been the first.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it was supposed to happen a couple of times, but due to certain circumstances, or it just didn't happen. So some out of our control, you know what I mean? Especially the first time, it was just fate kind of took it another way. And honestly, that's a true story. There was plans to put the titles on us, but it didn't work out that way.
Awesome. Over to you, Liam.
We obviously mentioned it earlier on, but I want to talk about the hair versus hair match. How did this all come about?
I wanted to cut my hair. I was kind of over it, even though, I just cut it again. I'm over long hair. I've had it for a really long time. Obviously, I was known for the afro, especially in my Impact days, just that crazy. But I was just over it. I had split ends. My hair starting to thin anyways, and I just said, it needs to come off. So we were doing the JAS feud with Jericho, where we went over to Blackpool. I think that was right before it led up to Blood and Guts. I think that was one of the matches that led to Blood and Guts. So I already wanted to cut my hair, so I brought it to Jericho. I said, hey, I'm down to cut my hair, but I want to do wrestling out of it. So he came up with the idea, and he made it happen. So because in wrestling, you just don't cut your hair off. That's a waste. You have to have a match for it. So I was just ready to cut it, and Jericho thought it was a good idea, and we were in the middle of a feud with him, and and he let me cut a lock of his hair off, which I still have, which is kind of weird that I have a lock of his hair, but I still have it. He actually told me to keep it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even
I did a promo with it, so I cut it off and I put tape around it to keep it. And I did one promo before Blood and Guts to kind of say I have a piece of your hair, even though whatever, I forgot what I said. But he told me to keep the piece of hair. So it's a part of wrestling history, part of my wrestling history. But it's kind of weird that I have a lock of his hair.
Well, John, back to you, bro.
I mean, that's going on eBay, isn't it? But we mentioned, obviously, whose idea was it for you and Santana to do the Inner Circle? And then, obviously, coming onto that, you was a part of the first ever main event of the first ever Dynamite. How was that?
Oh, dope. I was so psyched that day for DC, I believe it was. I was so psyched that day. So for us to be how we kind of became and even got into a conversation with the Inner Circle, we did the first Jericho cruise when we were still at Impact, and we wrestled the Young Bucks for the first time on the boat and had a great match with them. Instant chemistry, a testament to how good they are. And then I remember Cody coming up to us and he asked, how much longer do you guys have in your contract? Obviously, at that time, AEW was just a thing behind closed doors. No one knew about it publicly. So he was very vague with us and just told us, hey, when your contract's coming up, I got you. Give me a call, right? so yeah, so we knew something was coming up, and then I think a few months later, whenever it was, the news came out that AEW was going to be a thing, or they were going to do the first show, the first All In. Yeah, and then when our contract came up towards the end of Impact, we started contacting Cody, and then both we were going back and forth whether which one to go, and then Cody came to us and said, "Hey, we're going to bring you in to be a part of the inner circle. You're going to be in a stable with Chris Jericho." And we knew Sammy was going to be in it, but Jake was still a question mark at that time. So we knew someone else was going to be involved. We didn't know it was going to be Jake. And then, yeah, that led to obviously one of the deciding factors for us, like I said earlier. And then to go to the first match, when we finally went in for the first match, man, it was very cool to be the first main event of the first Dynamite show. Definitely that goes up there with one of my wrestling achievements. Our debut, that first stadium stampede, a lot of firsts in AEW.
Literally.
Okay, absolutely. So I also want to talk about how you guys obviously became a tag team.
Mm-hmm. How did we become a tag team?
Yes.
So this is a long story. I'll make it short. I've been babbling a little bit. So we known each other from backyard wrestling. We weren't friends, but me and Santana, we were obviously we knew each other. We were acquaintances. But then we had randomly both went to do pro wrestling training separately from each other. And we were randomly at the show one day. And then he had mentioned he needed a job. They were hiring at my job for security, loss prevention at Borders Books. We defended the books and DVDs. And yeah, I recommended him. He got the job. And then obviously, once we worked with each other, all we did was talk about wrestling all day, completely obsessed with wrestling at that moment in time. So we always talked about being a tag team with each other. And then one day, maybe while we were working with each other, maybe 6 months to a year, he got an opportunity for this local wrestling company up in the Bronx to wrestle a team I mentioned earlier, All Money Is Legal. I was completely out of shape at the time. I was super depressed. I just broke up with a girlfriend. I didn't want to go. I had every excuse. I was making every excuse in my head not to go. One of my other friends calls me and say, "Hey, get your ass to the show. Stop being a little B and just go do the thing." And I'm happy I did, because once I got in the ring, we did that match. The bug hit me again, and our whole career changed from that point on. Because even though at that time we were still, with a tag team, you need reps to get each other's timing and just to flow with each other. But we saw in that first ever tag match, there was chemistry there. So that's kind of what made us work towards it. And then, yeah, that from that moment on, we pretty much were a tag team. We did a handful of singles matches. Randomly, we would do sometimes, but it was mostly tag stuff.
Okay. John, about you, bro?
What would you say is the biggest difference between a tag wrestler and a singles wrestler that you found since obviously your split with Santana?
So for me, my biggest challenge, right, is my fire and my comeback, right? Only because I think, this is me self-analyzing, I was generally the Ricky Morton of the group, the one to sell, get his ass kicked a bit. Boom, hot tag to Santana. He has great fire, great comeback. So we made it for each other's weaknesses. So I think in a tag team, you can hide your weakness a lot better, right? Because people don't even think about it. I'm shining a light on it, but no one really thinks about it. I knew that all I had to do was sell, make them want to get the hot tag. And I love selling. I love the facial expressions. I love overselling and being goofy at times. It all depends what I'm feeling. But then he would run the fire, the comeback. And I would say his weaknesses was the selling, and my weaknesses was the fire and the comeback. So we hid that from each other, or we hid our weaknesses. And yeah, I think that's the biggest benefit of being in the tag team. Being in a singles wrestler, right? You now are then it's all on you. I personally love tag team wrestling because it's 4 paint colors. You have 4 different things you can do. So the match for me will never get boring, right? You could always come up and down, up and down, up and down. In a singles match, I think the pacing is different. Plus, your cardio needs to be better because you're the one running the comeback. I hate singles wrestling, but I love the challenge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. William, over to you.
What 3 things would you say that make a good tag team, in your opinion?
Ooh, one is moving as one unit, as one wrestler. I think that was me and Santana's bread and butter. We would do things in sync with each other and move as one. A big thing, we used to come out to a Bruce Lee where he's doing an interview. I don't know if you ever heard it, where he's talking about water, be like water, whatever. And we had an entrance on the Independence where we would have that cut into our intro. And we truly believe that you have to be one unit. You have to flow like water. I say that's the biggest thing. 2 other things for a tag team. Communication. You need to communicate. It's a relationship. And presence is a big thing, right? You need presence because if both of you need presence, because if one has presence and one doesn't, it's kind of weird and awkward. But if both together look like Starsky and Hutch or whatever great tag teams of fiction, it's cool, you know. Yeah, I will say those are the 3 big things: presence, the ability to work as one unit, and I forgot what was the other one I said.
Okay, John, back to you, bro.
So obviously we spoke about Santana a lot, and he's a part of your life, and he was for a good 12, 13 years. And he's just recently won the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. What is your thoughts on that?
I think it's pretty cool. He set out to achieve something and he achieved it. So pretty awesome. And obviously our history at TNA Impact, it made sense, right? Because we had such a great run there. We were treated as main event caliber guys. So when he went back, he was treated as such. And it's cool that he was able to achieve that.
Awesome. Obviously, Ewan?
Absolutely. So I always ask this, obviously, to a lot of people, is how hard is it, obviously, juggling so many different things, you know, being a wrestler?
Mm-hmm. It's just time management, honestly. I'm a dad. I have a family, so there's other obligations there. Also, I'm a homeowner, which sucks. I have to mow and do things around the house.
Another thing.
Yeah, I lived in a box in New York City for 80% of my life. So becoming a homeowner and having to trim the bushes and do different things. But I find therapy in that. You know what I mean? Just cutting the grass. You just enjoy the day. You have some lemonade. It's pretty cool. I'm enjoying the suburban dad life. I think with AEW's schedule, it's a little bit easier, right? Sometimes we're super busy and we're flying all the time and we have multiple dates where you're not home for weeks on end. But that only happens during pay-per-view weeks, or if we're traveling abroad, then we're away from home. On a usual schedule, I'm only away from home for a day and a half. So I'm home maybe 5 days out of the week. So that opens and that gives me so much time to do stuff. I just have to wake up early, wake up before my son so I could get stuff in. And then, you know, you go on with the rest of your day. But the big thing is just time management, just what's important to you, making time for it. And training has become my vice. I had a lot of other vices before that. But so it's easy for me for me, it's like brushing my teeth. So I'm always going to train because I'm very focused and singular purpose now that I just want to get better as a performer. Plus, I want to be able to wrestle as long as I can. Ricky Morton, Sting, these guys wrestling well into their 60s is motivation for me to be able to do the same. But and still wrestle at a pretty high level. Obviously, when I start getting up there, you start deteriorating. But I think your experience comes into play, and it's very possible. Sting had great moments in the later of his career.
Okay, John, back to you, bro.
I see you recently, Ortiz. You've been doing quite a lot of work around the Canadian independent circuit. How's that been for you?
Great. When I was coming up, even pre-Impact, that was one of the first international places I wrestled. So I developed relationships with C4. I also went down to New Wave Toronto, Jody Threat's spot, and a few other people. And I love Canada. I always have a special place because it was the first international wrestling show that I ever did. And I just kept those relationships. A lot of those fans are still there. So it's very cool for me to go back, especially C4. These people saw me when I was the complete shits to working up to being a television wrestler. So it's very cool to go back and see them and just, shoot the shit with them. And I love it. And I got that bug again. And I love training. Training is my favorite thing to do strength training and also wrestling training. Because there's no stress. There's not the stress of the camera being on you, and I could just flow. If I mess up, I mess up. Whereas if I'm on TV, I'm gonna take the least amount of risks, and in training, I take more of the risks. If I fall flat on my ass and it's in training. So yeah. So going up there to train is great. They have a great facility, and yeah, I love Canada.
Awesome. Over to you, Liam.
So I want to ask you about your entrance from Double or Nothing 2021, the zipline thing. How did that all come about? Because that sticks with me.
Double Nothing. What entrance was that? I'm
Stampeade.
Stampeade.
The rappelling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh dear.
Man. Scary, man. Honestly, really scary. I'm not terrible when it comes to heights, but man, that was insanely high up. I'm not a stunt man. We had very little walkthrough. It was just a walkthrough on the ground, and I just had to trust that this harness wasn't going to break and just jump off. And they were a great crew. They were professional. They took care of us, but very scary. When it was Jericho that brought it to us, and I said, yeah, hell yeah. I'm not gonna be a bitch. But in my head, I go, shit, I don't want to do that. But very scary. Very scary moment, but very awesome. I'm glad that I did it. Will I ever do it again?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Oh dear. What about you, bro?
In 2024, yourself and Eddie Kingston were teaming up. Was there ever any plans for you guys to become a tag team? I know you got injured with your torn pec, and then he got injured, which took a while for him to come back. And I've seen it recently that Eddie was going through, I'm not going to say depression, but he was going through like a really dark time, through recovery and stuff like that. And he said that you've helped him. How was that, going through that?
Oh, I mean, we're friends. He's one of my best friends. So it was just talking to him, and I'm just letting him vent, and and just trying to inspire him to do the right things. Because I just came back from injury. I knew exactly what he was going through. You go in a low moment when you're just sitting there and you can't do anything, and you might be on painkillers or whatever. You feel like shit all day. There's always that beginning period of coming back from injury. So I could relate to what he was going through at that time. So I think it was just listening to him and just being a friend and going to visit him. And and then very early on, when he was first coming back to training, I was rolling around in the ring with him and just helping him work out the kinks. But the basis, it was just being a friend and just being there for him. And and it's awesome what he's done in such a short time, and he's back at it, and he's still training. He still has that bug, which is great, that he's still keeping that motivation post injury to work harder and become just more fit and more injury resistant. That's the big thing. He just training so he doesn't get hurt again.
Okay.
Over to you.
So I want to get your thoughts on the AEW fan base. How would you describe it?
I mean, for me, it's different, right? Because you have the internet, AEW Fan Base. Then you have the people that actually go to the live events and the live crowds. When we go to a smaller town, for instance, West Virginia, we were just there recently. The crowd is just great atmosphere, very loud, very appreciative, right? The bigger markets, sometimes it all depends if we've been there a lot, if let's just say the Northeast or whatever, it all depends. I think it depends where we're at in the country. England, they're amazing when we go out there. At Wembley, it was unreal. And the English crowd is always the top for me. Yeah, for me, it depends where you go and whatever. I think the internet AEW wrestling community is such a small community compared to the bigger picture and when we go to different places. I feel sometimes the internet obviously gets the most attraction because that's what's on the dirt sheets or on Twitter or what's going around social media. But yeah, for me, it just depends where we're at in the world. But okay. Great, no matter where we at, for the most part, even if it's a small crowd or a huge crowd, for the most part, the people that are passionate about AEW are really passionate about AEW, and it's awesome.
Okay. John, back to you, bro.
So we've seen AEW go to Mexico, Australia, obviously the UK quite a few times, Wales, Scotland. Where would you like to see AEW go internationally?
Japan, even though they kind of did a joint show at the Tokyo Dome in New Japan, but actually go on a tour in Japan, that's just me being selfish because I love Japanese wrestling and I've yet to wrestle in Japan. India would be dope. I know there's been few attempts in the past, especially with Impact TNA, the Ring King, and I think TNA went over there the year we signed with them, but we didn't get brought, which I was very sad about. They did a set of TV tapings in India, but I think that's an untapped market. More Europe, more of Europe. There's so many different places to see in Europe. AEW go to Germany. Germany is another great wrestling crowd. My time at WXW for the few matches that I did, awesome wrestling crowd, amazing. Yeah, and maybe even more South America. Go to Colombia or Brazil or something. You know what I mean? Just think outside the box. That would be cool. But I know that's wishful thinking. It's expensive to get all those people and everything out there. So logistically, sometimes it just doesn't work out.
So what would you say that is the most rewarding thing when it comes to wrestling?
We're going to have that next.
For me, there's two things that stand out to me. It's the instant gratification that I get when I'm performing in the ring. That's one of my favorite drugs in the world, is performing in front of a crowd. And especially it's something that you came up with in your head and people are responding to your, I don't want to say art, but your vision. And also the moments that I get with fans that I've touched in some way, as far as being an inspiration, or just I've had fans write notes for me, give me amazing gifts, just really cool people. I think that is very surreal every time it happens, because I don't think I'm anybody. I'm just a regular guy. I'm a dad from the suburbs that likes to put on tights sometimes and, roll around in the ring. That's kind of how I look at it. But that kind of brings me back down and saying, no, what you do actually means things to somebody. And it's very cool. Those are the two things for me that stand out. But obviously, first and foremost, is just the gratification I get for wrestling in the ring.
Okay. John, back to you, bro.
How, obviously, representation, Ortiz. So by that, I mean the Latino community. That must be or means a lot to you. How you've probably inspired so many people and helped so many people. Oh, because obviously you coming up, your probably inspirations was like Hernandez, Homicide, Loki, and Eddie Kingston, and all them others, and Konnan, and so much more. How does representation feel to you that you've probably impacted so many other people?
Really cool, man. That goes to what I was just talking about. I've had people come up to me, and especially people from a Latino background, and just say, "Yo, just seeing you on television and seeing you represent and have your flag." Even non-Puerto Ricans, just Latinos in general, will see that, and I just think the Latino community are very proud, especially wherever they're from. They rep it hard, and it's just seeing that on television. I get it. Me growing up, other than Los Boricuas, Savio, there wasn't too much. And then you would see, which I love, the Mexicools, but they were a walking stereotype. But they were great trios. They did some of the coolest shit ever. 3 wrestlers that I enjoy watching. But to be, even though I would say LAX is sort of a stereotype for sure, but to be taken seriously and to be looked at as a cool, that's our culture being represented on the screen is very awesome. But I feel with Proud and Powerful, we were trying to go the other direction. We even loosely talked about it sometimes of being more a Rage Against the Machine type of team. I wore the beret a couple of times. I was trying to go for that look to be more militaristic and be more like Black Pantherist kind of wrestling, just to bring a different dynamic. Not Nation of Domination, but somewhere along the lines of that.
Awesome. Over to you, Liam.
I've got no more questions over a minute.
So I'm going to give you a little trivial, Ortiz. So you was in the first ever main event of Dynamite. You've been in 2 stadium stampedes. You've been in 2 blood and guts.
Yeah.
And so many other things. What is left for you to achieve in AEW that you haven't already?
Definitely win gold, some sort of gold. I would love for it to be tag team gold. Again, I love tag team wrestling. Hopefully it'll be with Eddie or whoever it is. Change the perception that I have in AEW is my biggest short-term goal. Once I get the opportunity to get back on television and wrestle, I just want to change people's perception of me, because I've been working on the independents a lot, and I've really been trying to find myself and just reinvent myself as far as what I do in the ring. And yeah, I think that's the biggest short-term goal for me, is to change people's perception about me in AEW, to our AEW audience, and be taken more as a serious wrestler rather than just a thug, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
So in match that you had with Santana, that came across like very brutal.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously issues. That's no secret between us. And we kind of just left it out in the ring. Some of those hits were potatoes for sure. I even rocked my eardrum, but it was just kind of left out there. That was just us still working really snug with each other, just because, there's some saltiness there. But yeah, that's kind of where it stemmed from. Plus, everyone kind of knew the drama between us going on at the time, as far as the internet did. I don't think it was well explained on television, so maybe some of the live crowd didn't get it. But that was just us working out our shit in the wrestling world. Yeah.
Awesome. Any questions, Liam?
Yeah. So, do you have any plans to come to the UK?
I do, actually. So I've been on a kick where I've been doing my own wrestling excursions. I'm going to go and do it in Mexico very soon, where I'll just go and get trained and maybe do a couple of shows while I'm out there. Also, I have to figure it out with my work schedule, but I plan on doing the same in England. I just want to go around to different schools, learn from different people. Just with the name that I've made for myself in the wrestling space, I feel, why not try to use it in some positive way to become a better performer? So I do plan on coming sometime mid next year, where I'll just go fly out and maybe go visit a couple of schools, maybe do some seminars and stuff like that.
Yeah, I can name you a few schools, so just let us know.
Oh, I definitely will. Yeah. I'll definitely hit you up for contact info.
Absolutely. John, back to you, bro.
So what is the plan for you for 2026?
2026, I think eventually I'll be back on AEW television. That's out of my control at the moment. But I'm still able to stay fresh and do independence. So just keep doing as much independence as possible. Do more stuff that I just stated, going over to England, going over to Mexico, going over to Canada again, and just maybe even going to Japan and doing it for a week if I could work that out, and just become a better wrestler and performer. That's my goal pretty much for 2026. Short term wise, and then just get back on television and put into action everything that all the work that I've been doing and change people's perceptions. So yeah.
Awesome, man. So would you say, so you've been with AEW since 2019, and obviously now we're going into 2026. How long have you got left with AEW contract-wise?
So as of right now, I have about a year left with the company, give or take.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it
on this current contract? So yeah.
Okay. Is there plans for you to stay with them, or?
I mean, I would love to stay there. I love working at AEW. I've actually been coaching, doing producing, basically, which is learning a different skill in wrestling, and also will give me longevity in wrestling. And it's also selfishly making me a better wrestler, because now I'm helping people call matches and I'm analyzing it from a different lens. And I'm really enjoying that. And it's something I've always wanted to do anyways. And now I'm getting the opportunity to do it there. So even if I stay on purely just to do coaching and producing and I can still wrestle, for me, I'm happy. That's the best of both worlds. I'm still getting to perform. Yeah, I mean, if they keep me, I think I would stay for sure.
Awesome, man. So the final few questions. Have you got any more, Liam, or?
Yeah, one thing we obviously do at the end is Mount Rushmore. Who's your Mount Rushmore wrestling?
Oh man, that always changes. I can't even remember what was the last that I said. For me, number one will always be Christopher Daniels, Fallen Angel for sure. I used to be a huge Ring of Honor guy back in the day. Anything in the Northeast, I would hop. They would have bus rides, and I would hop on the bus to go watch the shows. You pay $50, and you get a ticket and the bus ride, something along the lines of that. So I just going to those early Ring of Honor shows made me a huge Christopher Daniels fan. I'm a huge fan of footwork and how people move in the ring, and yeah, Daniels is it. He's so smooth in the ring. Butter. Number two, I would say Kurt Angle. I'm a huge Kurt Angle fan. Number three, Marufuji. Oh man, it always changes. And I would say, who am I watching right now? Number four, I'll go with Manami Toyota. I don't think she gets enough burn and respect, but she's in my Mount Rushmore as of right now. I've been on a early All Japan women's kick, so yeah, Manami Toyota would be there. But again, my list will change. If you ask me this question in a month, I might have different people on it. But number one will always be Christopher Daniels for sure.
He's really good anyway. John, back to you, bro.
So the final one or two questions for myself. Do you think it's possible that in the future we could ever see a Mike Santana and Ortiz, whether that's a reunion or go for the tag gold? I know you're in separate companies, but never say never, right? Because obviously it's like Punk and WWE. He went back. Sure. People always come back to each other.
Sure. I will say this. I elaborated a little bit earlier. There's a part of me that, of course, there was a huge part of me that I didn't want the tag team to break up, only because I don't feel we really fleshed out our full potential. there were signs of it. It was there. But really, I think we needed to still evolve as a team, just as far as the storytelling aspect of wrestling. In tag team wrestling, when it's done well, it's awesome. Those gripping moments, the false finishes, those breakups of a submission at the right time, and it has the crowd hooked and ready to go. And I feel we had glimmers of it, but we didn't get to the top of our game as a tag team. So if there was an opportunity, depending on the circumstances, I would say I think with time I would definitely be open to it. Yeah, I'm a believer too. Never say never, because anything could happen. Just the stars align the right way, and it makes all the sense in the world for it to happen. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely a part of me that says yes right away, and then there's a part of me that is hesitant. But yeah, definitely, I think so. Maybe, who knows? In 10 or 15 years, when we're old and grizzled.
Love that. Any more questions, Liam?
No, nothing from me.
So the final one, Ortiz, I always like to leave it on an inspirational message. What is yours?
Ooh, an inspirational message. Well, this is not my own credo or motto. I got this from what's his name? Alex Hormozy. But he did this interview where he was someone asked him the same thing, and what he said really stuck with me, and I'll pass that on. And it's work so hard that it's impossible that you don't achieve what you want to achieve. You know, just put in the work. Stop making excuses. Put in the work, whatever it is. If it's something with the arts, or if it's something with a job promotion, or if it's whatever it is, just whatever work that you have to do. There's so much information out there. Find the information, read a book, figure it out, and just work so hard that it's impossible you don't achieve what you want to achieve. And I think about that all the time when I don't want to work out, which was today. I can't tell you how long it took me to actually work out today before this. And I knew I needed to do it, because if I waited till after this was done, I wasn't going to do it. So, yeah, I think about that every day. Work so hard. Work harder. No one cares. Just work hard.
Yeah, appreciate that, man.
Yep.
Liam, do you want to wrap it up for us, mate?
So one thing we always say this at Ortiz, is there anything you'd like to plug, my man?
Plug. I'm kind of boring, guys. I don't do much. I guess my social media, Ortiz_powerful. Occasionally I post stuff on there. But I'm very old, and I kind of hate social media, but I keep it because of work. Yeah, there's not much else. Yeah, maybe whoever's watching, yell at AEW and tell them to get me back on TV. There you go.
There you go.
Plug me, please.
Jordan, you want to wrap this up, pal?
Ortiz, like I've said to you, I've spoke to you before, and I've told you that I've been pumped for this, and I really enjoyed the last 58 minutes of talking to you. Do you know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure I can speak on the behalf of Liam. We both really enjoyed having you as a guest, and I would love to have you in 2026 as a guest again. One of the favorite tag teams of all time. Nothing but a great guy. I've had conversations with you off camera and via message. You're a very humble guy. Thank you for coming on, and I really do appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you for asking me. And of course, I'll come back anytime.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that, man.
Cheers, fellas.